Good morning and happy Sabbath everyone. I hope that all is well for those family out there, and I also hope that may this blessed Sabbath becomes a blessing for us to rest and to learn more about God. So let us all begin this program with a few songs, and our first song, which is found in SDA hymnal number 1, Praise to the Lord. So let us all sing together. Praise to the Lord, the Almighty, the King of creation. Oh, my soul, praise Him, for He is thy health and salvation. All ye who hear, now to His temples draw near. Join ye in glad adoration. Praise to the Lord, who o'er all things so wondrously reigneth. Shielded thee under His wings, yet so gently sustaineth. Hast thou not seen how thy desires have been granted in what He ordained? Praise to the Lord, who doth prosper thy work and defend thee. Surely His goodness and mercy here daily attend thee. Ponder anew what the Almighty can do, if with His love He befriend thee. Thank you all for singing together, and let us move to our next song, which is also our opening hymn found in SDA hymnal number 88, I Sing the Mighty Power of God. I sing the mighty power of God that made the mountains rise, that spread the flowing seas abroad, and built the lofty skies. I sing the wisdom that ordained the sun to rule the day. The moon shines full at His command, and all the stars obey. I sing the goodness of the Lord that filled the earth with food. He formed the creatures with His word, and then pronounced them good. Lord, how thy wonders are displayed, where'er I turn my eye. If I survey the ground I tread, or gaze upon the sky, there's not a plant nor flower below, but make thy glories known. and clouds arise and tempests blow by order from thy throne. Creatures that borrow life from thee are subject to thy care. There's not a place where we can flee, but God is present there.
A very good morning and Shabbat Shalom. I want to take a moment to extend a very warm welcome to each and every one of you for being here with us today. We are delighted to have you here. Welcome to today's sessions. It's a pleasure to introduce today's presenter, a young man, Alfred, who shared with us the Word of God titled as Just a Table. The Bible text which found in John chapter 2, verse 24 to 25. I would like to lead each and everyone in reading the book of King James Version, verse 24. But Jesus did not commit himself unto them, because he knew all men, verse 25, and needed not that any should testify of man, for he knew what was in man. Let's prepare our hearts to listen the word. Enjoy the rest of your worship time with us, and God bless you. Thank you so much.
Shalom and happy Sabbath. I hope that wherever you are right now, may you continue to stay safe, and most importantly, thank you once more again for tuning in with us, and I hope that may you continue to always faithful in prayers. So for today's topic, I will be talking about just a table. So this topic today is the reference actually is from John 2 24 and 25. So before I proceed with the sermon today, I would like to bring us into prayers. So let's bow heads and I'll lead in prayers. Our dear Lord Father in Heaven, thank you so much for this wonderful day, and thank you so much for everything that you have done for us throughout the day and throughout the night. We give thanks for all the wonderful blessings, whether and so all for all the trials in life that you have allowed us to go through. Dear Lord Father, now as we prepare our hearts and as we study your word, dear Lord Father, may continue to open up our hearts so that we can accept you, and most importantly, may we learn something new today, dear Lord Father. And dear Lord Father, may you continue to guide my thoughts and minds, so that in whatever that I speak today, dear Lord Father, may it be according to your will. And I pray this in the name of Jesus Christ, our Savior, we pray, amen. Alright, so for today's topic, it's just a table, and you can actually read it in John 2 24 until 25. Okay, so in John 2 24 until 25, Jesus did not commit himself to them, because he knew all men and had no need that anyone should testify of man, or he knew what was in man. So this statement, or you can say actually this verse, talks about how God actually knows, understand human nature, and he do not fully trust, or maybe you can say he do not commit himself to them, because he knows their nature. Moving on. So you can say basically, maybe God has actually has Jesus has actually trust issues, but is it really he has trust issues, or is it because we are the problem? Well, actually this picture, if you see this picture, actually I just took it from the internet, and it's a shop somewhere in KL, I think, in KL. So if you were to see this picture, it says here trust issue, but if you were to see carefully, it says that trust us. So you can see actually that there's a hidden message within this, actually signboard lah. So, but is it really Jesus who has trust issues, or is it that it's because of us, or society, or the communities during that time is actually the problematic one? So these trust issues, or you can say distrust, can be also known as transgression. So transgression for today's topic will be in reference to betrayal. Alright. Okay, so the definition of transgression is actually as a noun, an act that goes against a law, rule, or code of conduct, and offense. So this is according to Oxford Languages. So if you were to see the word code of conduct, so code of conduct it means that what are you expected to behave. So let's say like you are expected to behave well, to treat your friends good, but you turn out to be very deceitful. You can say you turn your back against your friends. So this is something that everybody expect you to value the friendship, but you did not. So those are the few examples. And second, to revolt or rebel. So you can say it's being rebellious lah, or being rebellion. So the word transgression actually originates from the word from the Hebrew word of pesha, and pesha is a noun, and pasha is the verb. So pesha actually originates from pasha. So in other words, transgression is actually rules, a set of rules, but just that you are breaking it. There's a saying goes on that rules are meant to be broken. Yeah, but rules are meant to be broken only if you are the one that breaking it. But what if you are the victim of all this oppression, or you can say of people breaking the rules that you expect them to actually to take responsible on? No. So you are in a very bad position. You don't like it too. So those people saying that rules are meant to be broken, yeah, maybe situational, but those people may not understand how is it like to be oppressed, how is it like to be treated badly. All right. So you can say that betrayal also, it means backstabbing. So you see in this picture here, there actually is a very wonderful shirt. Yeah. So you should say it's insert knife. So that means backstabbing. So what are the few signs, or you can say characteristics, of backstabbing? So firstly, it's being deceitful. So some people are being deceitful in nature. We may never know whether what's their agendas behind them being deceitful, but they are for sure they are not telling the truth. Backhanded compliments. Yes, so backhanded compliments are usually compliments that firstly, it's very positive. They say you are beautiful, but then it proceeds to be more very sarcastic, or more towards subtle, like you can say like low, very subtle humiliation towards yourself, towards you, or towards anyone. So it proceeds with a compliment, and then it ends with a very negative statement about you. Next is gossips. Yes, so gossips, everybody loves gossips, and some may not admit that they end up gossiping about other people. So this is in our nature of human beings. But when it comes to gossips, there are few gossips that is so exaggerated to a point that it really humiliates you or humiliates the person that you're talking. Gossips like in news. So this stuff are still, we have to admit it's in our nature. But these are just some of the things that comes along with backstabbing lah. A very violent game, but I no longer play it anymore. But growing up, I played this game, and in this game you have weapons, you have a lot of equipments like you can see in the military, bombs, but also you have knives. But here's the thing about these knives in this game. In this game, for those maybe that the viewers out there that's currently watching and have played this game before, you guys will understand me. In this game, the knives are actually just as deadly as a gunshot, or you can say a shot by a bullet. And here's the reason why. So in this game, the mechanism is that if you were to sneak from behind of your enemy or someone, and if you were to stab them from the back, it will cause an instant death. So in this game, if you just directly kill your opponent, just a stab at the back once, you will kill your opponent. But if you were to shoot your enemy, if you were to use a weapon that has bullets in it, and if you were to shoot from the front or from wherever it is, it's still not as deadly as we can getting backstabbed by a knife. So the reason is here is because in this game, there's science behind it. Why is it so deadly? And one of them is because our back consists of all those nervous systems, all those important nervous for our movement and for movements, and so for how we process information. So these veins, I can say all these networks actually protected by the spinal cord. So oftenly, if you were to get stabbed from the back, especially at the spinal cord, yes, it will definitely make you go into paralysis or even death itself. But the whole point here is not about wrongdoings. So if you were to read the story, Rachel, in fact, she said that she was not able to stand up or maybe to move for the father to check whether the item is there or not, because she used the excuse of she's having a period. Okay, so Rachel was Rachel do not behave as how she is expected to. So you can say it's a transgression. She did not obey the code of conduct. But regardless of all this situation, all the betrayals made by Laban, God made Jacob prosperous. Yes. So in the end, Jacob was able to was set free, and Laban was never heard again, actually, after this story. And so the second biblical event that also talks about distrust it can be found in Amos 1 until 9, in the book of Amos. It's between God, Amos, and Israel. So the message is to the nations and Israel. So the few neighboring nations, like there is I don't know how you pronounce Tyre. Yeah, there are few neighboring nations around Israel, and Amos actually made a statement about a very direct, sharp statement to all these nations that's neighboring to Israel. And seemingly Israel is like the center, it's like the final place where Amos will actually go against. So these are the five claims that made by Amos. The wealthy ignore the poor. Death, slavery, denial of legal representation for the slaves, or you can say for the oppressed. Religious hypocrisy and idolatry. So these are the claims that Amos observed that's happening around the neighboring nations, especially in Israel. So actually Amos made a much more longer poetic, they call it poetic accusation, but it's more towards like a statement regarding what is happening in Israel. So why is it that this is called a distrust? You see, God in Genesis 12, God actually specifically and specially chose Israel and blessed them in hopes that these people will actually do according to God's will. But in fact, they did the opposite. They enslaved the people, they oppressed the poor, and most importantly, they were living with hypocrisy. So God has already entrusted them a responsibility of responsibility of doing a particular task, but they do not do it well. Not only do not do it well, they end up actually going against a few of the commandments made by God. Okay, and then 40 years later, Assyria invaded and conquered Israel, just as predicted by Amos. So the people they didn't really they put their guard down regarding Assyria. They thought these people, Israel, would never be conquered. But 40 years later, just as predicted, it was conquered by Assyria. Alright, so in this slide you can see I did write there the human nature. So Jesus knows all in all about people. So you can say Jesus is very observant. Not only observant, he's very knowledgeable about how humans behave and how humans interact, behave, and so think. So in John 6:64 said, there are some of you who do not believe. And John adds, for Jesus knew from the beginning who those were do not believe, and who it was who would betray him. The heart of Judas was open before Jesus was not surprised when his betrayal came. So you can see in the picture there, they have the Last Supper. So there are few commentaries about the nature of Judas. Some even defended Judas, and they uphold Judas as being saint. But that is something that I wouldn't want to discuss further. It's just an information. And then in John 2:24 until 25, Jesus do not have faith in them because he had knowledge of them all. He had no need for any witnesses about men, for he himself had knowledge of what was in men. He knows men. He knows how they behave. He knows what are their ulterior motives, and he knows what any hidden agendas. He knows them well. And actually, if you were to continue read on to John 3:1 and so on, it actually sparks a very secretive conversation between Jesus and Nicodemus. And if you were to continue reading on, Nicodemus actually defended Jesus. Actually stood up for Jesus when in times of trouble. So Nicodemus, remember, Nicodemus is a Pharisee. So he's one among those very hypocritical religious leaders. But he came to God and he wanted to learn about who is this man is and what are his beliefs. And remember that Jesus also, during the conversation with Nicodemus, Jesus also did this stated about after all the things that have been showed, why is it that some still you do not know? And so why I still some do not believe? Or prevent any hidden agendas. The first one is be clear with our motives and expectation. So that means we have to be honest. We have to be, honest about what do we want and what do we expect from, from the agreement or from the friendship. So you have to be clear. Second, for jealousy, remember, jealousy can't be prevented, but it can be changed over time. You see, we can do our best, but still there will be some individuals that will still will be jealous of us. We can still do our best to make them feel good, like for example, make it a win-win situation and establish yourself as not a threat but a friend. So that means we can still do our best. We can give them a very good win-win situation, establish yourself as not a threat but as a friend. But still, if they chose to be jealous of whatever they have done, there's something that we can prevent, and we have to walk away from those kind of relationship, from those kind of situation. We still have to move on with our lives. And next, try to listen and understand the root of their nature of this being deceitful. You see, every human being, they have a reason for why they behave a certain manner. So we have to actually understand why do they behave like that. Sometimes when they fear, why they backstab you, or why they are not being honest with you, because they are fear of just maybe you will take advantage on them. You will take advantage of their weaknesses, and they do not want to be in a situation. So they are scared too that you will take advantage of them. So these are the few things that we have to understand, and most importantly, we have to actually be honest to them. Have a talk with them about what's happening, why this backstabbing happens. However, when all three things we have done, what if everything fails? Sooner or later, we've tried our best, but still, there are point that we're going to fail. So, and then we have to remember that in Psalms 18:1-6, in Matthew 5:43-45, and pray. So in anything that we do, whether we want to come in agreement, we want to repair a friendship, we want to solve, a problem, whether it's because of gossips, we have to pray. We have to pray before we actually tackle this problem. Because sometimes, we are led by emotions, we are led by our lack of understanding. We cannot foresee the future, so we really have to, ask for guidance from God to help us through. All right. So before I end the topic for today, if you realize that today's topic is just table. So the reason behind this topic is because how often when you go to a coffee shop, well, now during COVID, you go to a coffee shop, more likely previously you have to take away lah, you cannot dine in. But right now, how often when you go to a coffee shop or restaurant, you just you don't really see the table, you don't really analyze the table, you just sit on the table and you just pick and sit. You don't think much about what's the table made of, is it sturdy or not, is it stable or not, is it safe. So you just happen to just pick a table and just sit. Well, now of course lah, MySejahtera dulu kan, MySejahtera dulu, scan dulu, baru masuk, baru order, baru pilih meja dan duduk lah. But this innocent table, that we often overlook. Actually, we put our trust so much. We just the table has never may not have done us harm in the previous years. So we may not have bad experience of tables, but the moment we just get into the shop, find a table and just sit. If you see, and that's a lot of trust. You just put onto the table, just sit there confidently. So the table itself is not only signifies our trust towards an object, how we overlook this small little trust, but also it signifies stability and steadiness. You see, sometimes people, they say, you go to play, break the rules, everything. But if you are firm with your beliefs, especially the teachings of the Bible, you may not be swayed easily onto what people ask you to do, what the world wants you to do. So if people were to treat you bad, you have to forgive your enemies and you have to love your enemies. So it's not an easy thing, it's easy to be said than to be done. But we should always be firm with our beliefs, and regardless of people treating us bad, we should always try our best to treat them with love. And also, trust shouldn't be overlooked. And remember, this is just a table. This is a table we put our trust in, and we just sit there, and we don't think much about it. But what if it's something very complicated, like human beings, or maybe a chair or pintu? So these things, we shouldn't really overlook trust. But I'm not saying that we should have trust issues. No, we should always try to trust people, but we should always be careful. And we shouldn't always be someone that actually backstab them. It's better for you to be backstabbed than you being the person that backstab others. But regardless of what I say, all these things is actually, it's not easy to be done. But I really do believe that whatever that we do, if we were to invite God into our lives, we were to pray, and we really want to have the change, I really believe that we can actually do something about it. So that's all for today. So put your trust, be careful in who you trust, and most importantly, be as firm as a table, steady as a table. So take care, and may God bless you.